Hello, I'm Kyle, and today I'm going to make a solar-powered floating tap water fountain. You have this amazing illusion that the tap has been held up by the water flow itself and the water is appearing from nowhere. It has built-in LED lights that's going to light up the stream of water when it gets dark. Let's see how it's made. The parts we're going to need for this project are a container. This is an old milk churn which I picked up on eBay. It is second-hand, but I think it's going to make an ideal container for the water fountain. You can use any container. You could use a planter, you could use a bucket, you could use anything that, as long as it's watertight. Next thing I have is this solar panel. This is a solar panel with a battery backup, and the manufacturer claims that it can keep the power going for up to 5 hours after the sun goes down. Powered by a solar panel is this water pump. It is already wired with LED lights, so it's going to light up the water from underneath and hopefully light up the stream of water coming from the tap, and it's look really good at night time. The next thing I'm going to need is a piece of perspex pipe. This is a bit of clear, rigid perspex pipe, and this has to be strong enough to support the weight of the tap on top. So it can't be the flexible kind, it has to be this rigid type. This is a 12mm piece of pipe. Now, it'll depend on your water pump. This bit of pipe has a connector which came with the water pump, and it fits perfectly over the top without any kind of glue or kind of fixings in the bottom. So this is going to stand really upright and hold our tap on top of the fountain. The tap that I have is a standard garden tap that has hose fixings on it. I bought a plastic one. The main reason for that is I wanted it to be light enough to be supported on top of the bit of perspex pipe without being too heavy, but you could use a metal one as long as the pipe is strong enough to hold it. What I'm going to do with this to give it the effect of being a metal tap, I'm actually going to spray this with silver spray paint, and it's going to look hopefully like a rustic metal effect, and hopefully fit in with the look of the container, which is zinc. So hopefully that will fit in and look really good. To go on top of the fountain, I have these white pebbles. Hopefully the water is going to flow down from the tap, down the pipe, and over these pebbles, and look really nice on top of the fountain. I also have a few other bits and pieces here. I have a few different types of glue, I have some drill bits, and a few other tools which I'll explain as I go along. So one of the concerns I had with this milk churn is once it's filled with pebbles and water, it's going to be quite heavy to move about the garden. What I've done already to try and resolve that issue is I've taken 2 old pieces of polystyrene, which I've glued together, and I've also glued on top an old plant pot. So what that's going to do is it's going to raise the pump and the LED lights up to the top of the churn, so that the light isn't lost at the bottom and the water doesn't start to travel up to the tap, so hopefully give us a better water flow. It's also going to mean that when I put the pebbles in, they're only going to sit on this top area of the churn, so I'm going to need to use less of them, and it's going to be much lighter hopefully. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to drill a hole in the back of the container. The reason for that is I need the water pump cable to pass through out the back of the container so I can then attach it to the solar pump. I'm going to use a drill bit which is almost the same size as the cable. I'm then going to pass that through the back of the container, and I'll then seal it up again with some waterproof adhesive. I'm going to drill just maybe about 2 centimeters from the bottom. Perfect. Now that I've got a nice hole in the back, I'm going to use my rotary tool just to clean up the edges, just so there's no sharp edges and it's not going to cut the cable. So. Perfect. So we have the end of the connector for the panel, and now a hole big enough that we can pass it through into the bucket so that you don't see it trailing out the top of the container. Next thing I need to do is I need to feed my cable down through the plant pot. I'm then going to feed it down through the bucket and out the hole just drilled in the back. I'm going to feed enough cable through so that the pump is just sitting in top of the plant pot. Now that I've got the cable through, I'm going to then attach it into the back of this wall panel, into the connector here, and so it's watertight. I'm then going to screw it. I'm going to connect it together at the back. I'm going to use some waterproof adhesive to seal the hole up at the back and give us a nice watertight seal on the back on the cable. The next thing I'm doing here is I'm going to give the tap a coat of spray paint to give it the metallic look. What I've also done, I've taken a bit of sandpaper and I've removed the hose thread just because I like the look of that better. Now that I've left the tap to dry for a bit, I've also given it a coat of clear sealant just to give it a more shiny look and to protect it from the elements a bit. The final thing we need to do before we can connect the pipe to the tap is we need to drill a few small holes around the outside of the pipe. The reason for that is when we connect the pipe into the tap, we want the water to flow down the outside of the pipe to give us the illusion that the water flow is holding up the tap instead of the pipe. Like I did with the metal container, I am going to tape a small piece of masking tape around the top just to give us the grip on the drill bit so it doesn't slip off when we're drilling the holes. So I'm going to wrap the masking tape around the outside. So I have a small drill bit, it is about 3mm, just to give enough room for the water to flow out. So. Hopefully you can see these on the grid, so I've now got 4 holes around the outside, which the water will flow down. Next, to glue the tap to the top of the pipe, I'm going to use an epoxy adhesive. You mix together the 2 parts of this and it sets in 5 minutes. It's going to give us a really strong hold. So we take the 2 parts of this, small amount of each, and we're going to mix them together. So I'm going to apply this around the top of the pipe and then attach the tap. The glue has now dried and the tap is connected to the top of the pipe. The next thing we need to do is to connect this into the pump inside the container, add the pebbles, water, and then switch it on. As you can see, in the top of my container, I've got the water pump and LED light ring. I'm now going to connect the pipe into the top of the water pump and securely fasten it like so. Next, I'm going to add the rocks in to secure everything in place. I've also connected the solar panel to the water pump and now it's ready to fill with water. Now we've got everything in place, container filled with water, all we have to do now is switch it on. And there we have it. You get this amazing effect of the water flow supporting the tap, and it makes an amazing water feature for your garden. Thank you. As always, comments and feedback are always welcome. If you like this, please drop me a comment, let me know, subscribe to my channel, and I will be back soon with many more videos. Thank you.